How's it going, everybody? Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. So this is video series part 4 now with, again, the one and only Corey Singleton and his team with Loan Depot. If this is your first time watching this video, again, my name is Jameer Walton. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the Illinois market. So if you know anybody looking to buy, sell real estate, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me via my contact information below. Or if you got family and friends that's outside of the state of Illinois, even though my license is only Illinois, definitely feel free to leave your information, and I can also connect them with a top performing agent in that area as well. So this topic, before Corey gets a little bit to really diving into the information, this is just a topic that's really key to me and really important, is because this is by far the #1 step in the home buying process. Obviously, you want to talk with your agent. They can give you a little education and a little history on the areas that you're looking for homes, give you a little education on price. But this is the #1 fact, and I tell everybody, is that you need to start the pre-approval application process. And a lot of times I hear a lot from people saying that, well, I'm a year away from buying, or I'm a year and a half away, or I'm 2 years, or I think I'm ready, but I don't got the money yet. You still need to start that pre-approval application process immediately, because you may find out 2-3 days later, once you finally get that information back from Corey, who I'm recommending that you guys make sure you talk with him, because he will certainly get you that back within a reasonable quick amount of time, is that you need to know where you currently stand. And you might realize, oh, I actually am pre-approved for a home now, or I'm pre-approved, but I'm not pre-approved for the price range that I'm looking for. But now you can have somebody tell you, hey, if you just lower this credit card payment by this amount, if you change your student loans to like this, and if you change this, now you'll immediately go from 150 to 190, 200,000. And a lot of times you all get really scared and fearful of the idea of, one, your credit being ran, but also two, is the idea of all of the information that the lender is going to ask you for. Now, I just want to tell you guys from the experience of a real estate agent, the more information that lender asks you in the very beginning, the better. Trust me when I tell you this. I know you might get that email and you say, wait a minute, like, you need like my entire life. Like, why do I got to give it? And again, everybody works different ways, but just from my experience, and this is why not only I refer all my clients to talk with and work with Corey and his team, but this is why also my wife and I use Corey and his team to purchase our own home and also to purchase our first rental property as well, is because he's going to ask you for every single piece of information that bank is going to ask, especially when it gets to that underwriting process. I cannot tell you guys how many stories I have heard from not only just myself from working with individuals, but also from other agents and from other lenders and even attorneys and title companies, where the buyer literally gets a call 2 or 3 days before closing, and you find out, because of this little thing on your student loan, or because I didn't ask for all of your taxes for the past 3 years and I just asked for one, now you're not going to be able to close on this home, or we got to change your financing, or we got to push it back another 2-3 months. And a lot of times, the agents a lot of times get the bad side of that, and it's always like, oh, the agent didn't do their job and you didn't do what you're supposed to do. And this is why you need to understand the importance of not just your real estate agent that you have on your team, but also the mortgage lender that you work with. This is why I recommend Corey, because he's been in the game for 15 plus years. In 2018 alone, they did $24 million in revenue. So he's not just somebody that's just talking the talk, but his team is walking the walk, literally. That's not something that's easy to do on a consistent basis. And again, when you get all of that information, like me and my wife, I know for a fact when my wife saw that email, she was like, wait a minute, like, what's going on? Like, why we got to get him all this information? We're not looking to buy a home for another 9 months, 10 months from now, a year from now. And again, because I was an agent myself, I was just able to, make her aware that, hey, this is the information that's needed now. Because if he don't ask us for this information, we can run into a situation where a week before closing, we get bad news. So just again, Corey, just want you to talk a little bit about, your team's process with that and why you guys request that information. Because again, a lot of lenders out there, they'll wait until the buyer gets their offer accepted and then they'll start asking for this information.
That's crazy.
But however, you need that information prior, because if you spend all the time to go on the showings, to look at the home that you want, now you finally came to your decision on which home you want, because that's not an easy thing to do. Right. You see 2 or 3 homes you like, and you finally got a okay, this is the one that we want. We're not looking at no others. This is the one we want to make an offer on. And now you get excited because it's accepted. But then I've seen lenders sometimes they'll say, okay, now that the offer is accepted, I need your tax information. I need your W-2 information. And that's information that Corey's team is going to ask you in the beginning before we look at any home. Because anybody that's working with me as an agent, we're not looking at any homes physically until I have a pre-approval in my hand, in my email, in my phone, somewhere. Because you need to know what your purchasing power is. So you can just talk a little bit more about that, Corey, and your experience with that, with your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the documentation is important. You want to dot the I's and cross the T's up front. You know, I always tell my clients, I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You know, there's nothing worse than you finding something out after the fact. And as I, you know, with Jameer and the Rockstar agents that I work with within his company and across the Chicagoland area, I want them to feel confident as you as a buyer, as well as you as a buyer, that when I give you a pre-approval letter and we specify the terms of that pre-approval letter, set the parameters, you can feel confident that we've looked at everything that could potentially be an issue and we've already addressed it. You can feel confident that if you write a contract within those parameters that you will close on that home. And that's, I can only give you that assurance if I collect everything up front. So the documentation is important because I know what underwriting is going to look at. I know how income is going to be calculated. I know what we need to show as far as cash to closing assets. I know what we need if any reserves are needed. All of that's determined in your pre-approval process. You don't want to wait till after you've written a contract to pull those things together. And, you know, check out our student loan video because that's important too. Yes. If you have student loans and your lender doesn't have a conversation with you about student loans prior to issuing that pre-approval letter, you have a problem, my friend.
Very big problem.
You have a problem because different programs look at student loans differently. And that's a conversation that needs to be had. So the standard documentation, you know, we're going to need pay stubs. We're going to need W-2s. Oftentimes we'll need tax returns. You know, if you're looking to qualify for some of the programs that provide down payment assistance, you will absolutely need tax returns. Some programs don't require tax returns if you're covering your 3.5% down payment or 5% or 3% if we're going conventional.
Okay.
It just depends on which direction we're going in. But as I said before, I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Those are the reasons why we want to get all of that documentation up front and look at it, and we can address any potential issues that could arise as well. You know, oftentimes, even with a bank statement, if you came into some money or you broke open the piggy bank that you've been saving for the last 6 years, all your change, and you got $3,000 in it, and you go dump that money in the bank, that could potentially be a problem. So we want to take a look at the bank statements, make sure that we don't have that pop up after the fact, and we'll address it prior to, and make sure that we got all our ducks in a row. Again, so once we issue that letter, you as well as your agent can feel confident that you'll get to the closing table.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just really want you guys to really think about it in these terms, right? This is going to be one of the biggest purchases that you're ever going to make in your life. And even if you haven't done this before, you have done this before, you need to think of it in terms of the more information that I'm giving to this lender, the more accurate the pre-approval is going to be.
That.
Like really, like think about it in these terms, right? If you have a lender that says, "Hey, all I need is your 2 pay stubs and 2 pay stubs and let's say just last year's taxes, and that's it." You really just want to start thinking for yourself, like, wait a minute, are you really telling me to buy a home, one of the biggest purchases you're ever going to make, all I need is this information? And because again, a lot of people, you get excited about the idea of buying a home and you hear, oh, all I need is 2 pay stubs. Oh man, perfect. All right. Oh, I got pre-approved for this amount. Perfect. Right. But I'm telling you right now, and anybody that's specifically that's looking to work with me as a client, when you're purchasing that home, if for whatever reason you just did not want to hear nothing I said and you did not want to go with Corey's team, because I'm telling you, you are saving yourself so much more headache and peace of mind with going with his team. But if you just decide, I'm just not doing it, I got a cousin or a friend that's a lender and I'm giving them the business, fine, no problem at all. However, you can still have a conversation with somebody like Corey who's experienced to know, hey, you know, I got a lender I'm working with and I was told that I only need this information. I just want to verify, like, is that the information you asked for with your clients? And if Corey tells you, well, yeah, I asked for that, but I also need taxes, I also need bank statements, I also need this, I also need this, I also